I think somebody's there. Not sure. If you're there, mention yourself or say something in the chat down here so I know you guys are here. I'd appreciate it. Gemini 69. Awesome. Thank you. Robin, doing good. Doing pretty good. Hi, Shauna. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I really do. This one shouldn't be a very long one tonight because what we're going to be doing is pretty easy. So, but we'll see how it goes. Did anybody show up with any questions or anything before we start? Let's see. Window, screen 1, screen 2. Right on. All right. Let's share screen 2. No, let's share screen 1. I'm still learning how to do this stuff, you guys. I'm kind of a Luddite when it comes to this. So we're going to be working on screen 1. So for that one. Cool. Nope, that's not what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working in Lightroom today. So, I did not. Yeah, thanks for mentioning. I learned a lot about, but that wasn't my job. I worked on aircraft. I was an electrician and worked on ground support. So I was young and I was really in photography. So like one of my first paychecks, I bought a 35 millimeter Electro 35 Yashica and started going to the photography club on base, and there was a bunch of old gray hair guys in there, and I learned a lot from them while I was, stuff. And then after that, I just kind of did it as a hobby. And after the family came, my sons came, I was just kind of working a lot and taking snapshots of them. So I got my life where I could pick up photography again. So I did. So, hey, Zach, thanks for coming in, man. So, inherited, right on. Yeah, that kind of is explains my photography journey. Hey, Zach, thanks for coming in. Maybe I can learn something from you. It's good to see you here. I admire your work a lot. So, yes, you've got an impeccable eye for composition. So, all right. So we got a few people here. So this is Sunday night again. I'm starting to enjoy these. So if you guys have any kind of suggestions for what I should do another live video about, leave it in the comments down here, and I'll be able to do one, about something you need to know. So, but yeah, Sunday night, one heck of a weekend. I I got to tell you a couple stories. Zach, you'll enjoy. So, where do I start? So, my mom lives in Prineville in Central Oregon. There are deer that live around her house. So I've got to kind of watch for my dog. 'Cause my little dog Hazel, I think the deer think that she's a little fawn and skewed for me or something. Because if I go out, we have to watch. First thing in the morning when we go out and I take her out to go to the bathroom, we got to go out and we got to make sure the deer aren't around in the yard. And example was Friday. We go out the door and we weren't really too careful about it. Went around the corner and there was a deer over there. And next thing you know, the deer is towards us. And so I kind of go, oh, hey, hey, stopped, but it was still going to come towards us. So I just pick up 3 rocks and I throw one and it hits the ground. And I thought, scared away, but it didn't even react. I threw another one and it fell down onto the ground right next to it on the other side. And it didn't do anything. It started coming at us quicker and then it stopped. Well, let me think. He took a couple steps. She took a couple steps. I'm having to recall how all this went. And then stopped again, not too far from where I threw the other rocks. And so this time I aimed and I really tried my best to be as accurate as I could. I used to be on rocks when I was a kid. So I throw this rock at this doe, at this deer that's coming after us over there, and I hit it right in the head. Sounds like if you take a baseball and hit a log, baseball bat and hit a log with it or something like that. It just sounds like a hollow sound. And it just stood there. It's like it didn't even. Oh, we went in the house till the deer were gone. So, yeah. Oh, God. I probably did. It was probably bought it from a cowboy. Prineville's a cow town, but it's got its own little subculture, I guess you could say. Oh, you could have offered me $100 to hit that deer in the head, and I never would have been able to do it. So thankfully, it didn't like hit it in the head and have it fall over. That's the last thing I wanted to do. You're late. Well, I'm just sitting here waiting. You know, all I'm doing is telling stories about the weekend, throwing rocks at the deer, and yeah, you are. It's good to see you, Rachel. Thanks for showing up. All right, let me think here. Oh, another thing that happened is little Hazel, cheatgrass sticker in her ear punctured the eardrum. She had to go to the vet. It was really, I've never heard her scream in pain like that. But happy and playing, then all of a sudden she was like in severe pain. So I looked, couldn't see anything. So we took her down. Of course, it was after hours. So, you know, can't happen 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's got to happen at 5:05. But anyway, went down there and they had to sedate her, which was a story in its own, and then got in there and pulled the sticker out. So, it's something that's it's pretty common in some because there's a lot of the grass that has stickers and stuff in it. So that wasn't a very good part of the weekend, but still, little Hazel's okay. She's in her bed right next to me. So, all right, you guys, let me see. What were we going to do? Oh, yeah, I remember now. My ale of ginger. I mix seltzer water with my ginger ale, and it kind of doesn't make it quite so sweet. So, okay. I think we got the core of who wants to be here and who's need to do some work here. This photograph is actually, gosh, what folder is this from? Let me think here. This is from 2014. How many years ago was that? 13 years ago or something? This is at the Portland Japanese Garden, and I was there to photograph the tree, which I got some really good photos of. But while I was there, I was trying to get some different comps with some different trees and stuff, and this was one that I cool. So when I was shooting back then, the camera that I had, not sure which one this one was, probably the D3 or something. It didn't have the dynamic cameras that we have right now have. And so it was really common to bracket my photos to be able to get all of the dynamic range of the scene in one file so I could process it. It was a little more difficult back then. Not even sure if we had Lightroom back then, but it was a little bit more difficult. So since we've got the ability to be able to merge these file and then process a DNG, it kind of opened up a little bit of an area that helped me maybe go back and reprocess some of my old photos that I had bracketed. But I'll be completely honest with you. I'm showing you guys how to put these together, but I think, well, this one's a little dark and this one's darker. I think that I probably shot them that day. So I picked these out just to be able to demonstrate merging these together. To my histogram so much, I didn't really understand it as well. I full of checking your histogram. Histogram will tell you the dynamic range that you're able to capture, the exposure of the photograph, whether it's dark or light, or if it's just right. It will also tell you if you're going to have to bracket or not. So there's probably going to be some times where you're going to be out in the sunshine and it's going to be really bright there and it's going to be really dark there. So nothing wrong with bracketing your photograph to try to make sure you've got good quality digital information to be able to come back and photograph or process your photo, because ultimately that's kind of what we're doing. We're being artists and we're being by creating what we do with our photography, but we're tech savvy enough to know we have to have good, solid, and proper digital information to be able to process our photo when we get back. So, and I've said this before, make sure that I have three things. And if I have three things in a photograph, then I can move on to another photograph and I know I have all the digital information I need to be able to go back and process that photograph. So that's going to be a good comp. It's going to be good focus, and it's going to be a good histogram. And if I've got all three of those, I'm on to the next comp. A lot of times I'll show up early for a sunset or a sunrise, scope out different compositions of the area. And then when the light is nice and the light is maybe, instead of standing there and coming home with just one comp, you've got all these comps located so that when it happens, you can get your composition, you can get a good histogram, and then you can move on to the next comp. So that's a good K when the light is right. Okay, get there early and scope out some compositions. All right, I think I left on a tangent there. So you guys came here to understand how to merge these bracketed photos. So let's get on with it. So I bring to Lightroom. I still have a little bit, bear with me here. So I bring them into Lightroom, and then the first thing I make sure that I have, and you can set this so that it this when you import your photos in. This will already be set. Now, I'll probably cover some Lightroom settings and stuff on one of the other videos. So when I'm a little bit more prepared. So over here on the right hand side, if you guys can see my cursor, well, it's kind of yellow. So hope you can follow my cursor. But over here, I always make sure that remove chromatic aberration is done. And a lot of times I might click this off and on to see what, but this is going to correct barrel distortion primarily in your photographs. So different lenses have types of barrel distortion. So this kind of gave it a little bit more of a fisheye feel or wide angle feel, and then it clicks off this way. So you're the artist. So you decide which way you want it. The only one that's imperative in my world that I always make sure I click, because it doesn't matter if you click it and you don't need it, but if you need it and you click it, you're all for the better. And that's remove chromatic aberration. And you're going to see that in the fringe up here in the corner of your it looks blown out to me. You see here. And remember, these are 14-year-old files. So let me see if I can click this off and on and see some. Yeah, I think I do. Let me zoom way in on this. Move over here and turn this off and on. Let me zoom in even more. What the heck, right? All right, move this over here. Let me turn it off. All right, look up here on this branch. You really see it. You see the magenta, and you see some cyan on the left-hand side there. So if I click this, you'll notice it goes away, and the branch turns brown like we want it. Okay, so chromatic aberration is one of those things where you don't really know that you need it until all of a sudden you need it, and then after you know what it is, you can see it from a mile away in other people's photographs, or you could be processing, and then you'll be able to see it and go, oh, I forgot to click for remove chromatic aberrations. So it's something that I always make sure is clicked on. So okay, all right, let's get back to where we belong here. And let me zoom this thing out again. We're at 500. That was cool. All right. What I usually do is I'll come through here and make sure that a few things are clicked. Okay. You can kind of got a lot of contrast and saturation to it. We can always go back and add it in our tone curve, or even down here in our basics slider area. But I just liked it. It helps with the shadows. So let me see. Maybe we were in Adobe Landscape or something. You can see how dark the shadows got there. If I hit Adobe Neutral, it opens up those shadows. Okay. Right. And let me think, where were I? Neutral. So I come down here and mess with our white balance. I'm doing this one to the first one, the brightest photograph, and then we can merge or synchronize the rest of them. So let's go with as shot. Let's hit auto, see what happens. That's pretty cool. Daylight might be a little saturated, but it's better, I think, than the other one. And the further we get down, the warmer they get. And that's with any of the photographs. When you do your white balance over here, then they'll get warmer until you get here. Then all of a sudden you're really blue. And some people like to use the tungsten setting for night skies, if you like them a little bit blue. The fluorescent is pretty even. Flash is pretty saturated. And then if you change the sliders, if you change these over here, it creates a custom white balance right there. You see it says custom. So you can always come back to your manual one down there. So that's how that works. All right, but let me see here. Daylight, auto. A lot of times I'll start with a cooler photo and then introduce my warmth with my white balance slider over here until I think it's kind of cool. All right. And I kind of work my way down, on the basics. So I think I got I can always change it later, but I think I got my white balance where I want it. My highlights down and my shadows up a little bit. Maybe do a little S curve here. How's that sound? And what this does is it's a minor contrast adjustment, but go back and change those. All right, so click in the little gray area down at the bottom of this. All right. Then hit Shift and click on the third. It will highlight all of those. And then it turns into one that says sync. Are you okay, BB? Are you okay? Good dog. I know. Soon. Right down here it says sync. So I sync. And it doesn't hurt to check all. It's better than saying, well, let me sync. Which ones are going to change? Just hit check all and hit sync. And it applies it to all of these all together here, okay? The reason that I went up here and I pulled my highlights down and my shadows up, all right, is to make sure, let me see here. There, okay. Is to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my dynamic range. In other words, if they're too bright in the brightest one, the good way to that is with your highlight slider, and then to bring your shadows up, you just hit your shadow slider. All right, and then know that they're there. If they're really black, and of course, like I said, you can adjust them later. So right click, we'll hit sync again just to make sure we're there. Right click anywhere of them, and then go up here to photo merge. Right click, deghosting. Deghosting works most when if you're merging 3 shots and there's people walking through, it will notice that they're not completely resolute, that they're shadows, because they're one of the 3 photographs, and so it's only going to be a third of as bright or whatever. Anyway, it will notice those and remove those. It does a pretty good job, but that's probably going to be mostly for people walking through your shot or something like that. So I don't usually mess with that. It doesn't really matter. So I do use auto align. Okay. And then I hit merge. Kaboom. And just wait a minute, and all of a sudden there it's there. It's magic. All right. Now you've got one that's got everything combined into one. And it's a good one to start with. And it's a DNG file, digital negative. So it's kind of like a raw file. So you have all of the ability to be able to adjust it over here, just like any other raw file. So let me see, pull some sliders around here and see what I can do. And then we'll do some processing here real quick here. And you can see it's pretty, the some people like things really saturated. When I first started, all we really had to use was the only ones we understood anyway were contrast and saturation. So we'd go out and take our pictures in JPEG and then adjust the saturation in the hi Chandra, welcome. You might have to see the first part afterwards once it's posted to my YouTube, but I could go over it really quick, the only thing you really missed was you highlight the bracketed shots that you get. Click, you come up here to photo merge, and the DNG file is the one that we're going to use to process the photo. So, okay. So I need to figure out the best way to do something. I just really am enjoying the videos. I really enjoy sharing the stuff with people. It's kind of like you guys are like here with me, and I'm just doing my processing. It's pretty cool. Um, so I'll go down through here. A lot of this stuff is just fine. The shadows will look to me there. I might come down to my tone curve here and bring up my darks a little bit. No, I'm not. You know what I'm going to do? I still can't get used to masks in Lightroom. I mean, they're just miraculous, and they're the best way to do dodging and burning in your photos than anything that I mean, I used to do all of my dodging and burning in Photoshop with a 50% gray layer and my New Zealand pictures. I have a friend in New Zealand. I keep promising that we're going to go down and visit, and I never seem to get around it. So that seems like such a huge undertaking going all the way around the world like that. But I hear it's well worth it. So I hope you got some good ones. All right, so we're going to mess with our masks here. I really love my radio gradients. I like to move them, put them up around here a little bit, and now come down here and I pull my exposure up. Said, I think in the last video, is that shadows to be dark, but your eyes are constantly adjusting. So as you're looking at a scene, your eyes time can look down into a dark area and see what's down there, where it would be really dark otherwise in the photo. So so what I'm trying to say is that I like to have them dark, but I like to be able to see into the shadows. So all right, so I put a little radio gradient there. What I'm going to do is next I'm going to hit the plus sign right here and tree against the sky up there. Okay. Everything in Lightroom tonight. I want you guys to, realize you have at your fingertips here with Lightroom nowadays. I'm just sold. Maybe it's because it's hard for me to change from what I'm used to, and I've come from Photoshop 0.0 all the way up, but I've only learned the things that I've needed to know. So but I really, really like Lightroom nowadays. So let's go up here and hit these sliders again. We'll come down here now that we got these two masks up here. I want to use effects. All right. Let's pull in a vignette. Okay. This vignette is going to pull the viewer's eyes in towards that tree. Okay. And so you want to vignette your photos, but yet you don't want to vignette them so much that everybody goes, nice photo, nice vignette. I mean, in my world, I'm not telling you what you need to do. You can vignette them if you like, but in my world, I want to be able to vignette my photos, have it effective, but not being overly vignetted. So many times I'll vignette my photos and I'll walk away, kind of look around and come back in, look at it with fresh eyes, and a lot of times I'll end up backing off just a little bit. So now we've got a vignette there. You can turn it off and on. You can see the vignettes there, but really, all it's really vignetting is this background and this in the foreground here, and the tree is right there. All right, I want to do one thing here. I'm going to create another mask, and I'm going to do a linear gradient, and I want to pull it down here from the top because light's coming in there. And so let's lighten it up just a little bit. And if we wanted to, we could also do make it soften it up a little bit and kind of make it diffused a little bit. Sometimes I like to do that. So let me turn this off and on, okay? See, if you look over here to the right side, there's a little eyeball, and just click on this off and on, and you can see what kind of what kind of effect that what you wanted to do did. So, okay. All right, so we've done some masks. I want to come down here and change this one again. So come down here. Whenever you click on a mask, it creates its own menu down here. So let's try pulling some shadows up over there. Okay. Oh, something else too is you can move these around. So, or you can stretch them out. Kind of like this, but I want to pull my shadows up a little bit more. Anyway, there. I'm always fussing with my shadows, so. Okay. All right. Hope you guys are doing good. You're hanging in with me. So I always, when you're done with the mask, click up here. I had somebody confused about how to engage the mask. In other words, what do you do to get rid of the mask panel and go back to where you were? So you can go to the masks here, and when you click that open, it creates this menu, but right down below it is the regular menu down here. So let's close this and open up the big menu. The only danger in keeping this open while you're up here doing this is sometimes you'll be down here thinking that you're messing with the masks. Okay. All right. So like I said, when I'm in the mask and I'm done, I click on my sliders and it brings up my menus over here. So all right, let me think here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there anything you guys see that I don't? I might pull my highlights down a little bit or just to recover something up here a little bit more in my shadow or my highlights in the sky, but yeah. So yeah. So what do you think? You guys have any questions for me? Or anything else that I can cover while you have my ear? I'm here. Questions. Come up here. Thanks, Zach. I want to come up here to the upper and hit where am I at here? Export. Now, if for some reason you wanted to do some more work to it, you can always bring it into edit in Adobe Photoshop right there. So other you can right click on this and hit export. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Export right there. This dialog box comes up. And I've got some presets, but there's some Lightroom presets, or you can create your own. Like if you look down here, I've got a preset that I use all the time for my real estate photos. So let's see. What I want to do is just use this one because it's not changing the processing or anything. What it's doing here is on my preset. And like I said, there's more up here. If you wanted to do export as a DNG, export for your email or full-size JPEGs or whatever. I don't usually mess those. I make my own or do my own adjustments or exports. So let's do that right now. As soon as I get done with this, all right, we'll go back over that, saving the adjustments, the mask adjustments to the file and have it applied to the file. So Yes, that's not a problem. So let's go over here. Let's pretend this says landscape, because I probably should have one there that says landscape, or high resolution, or Facebook, or Instagram. You can just get all of these user presets in here. And I used to have more, but I don't know, something happened along the way and I lost them. So it's probably something that I did. So um user preset, let's just click that off, and it'll activate. If I use real estate or landscape or whatnot, it's going to go to exactly what this one is. So if I just hit there on, then what I do is I'll tell it where to send it. So this is to the same folder as the original photo. I want it to put it in a subfolder that says final. All right. And then if there's some existing files in there, um, it'll ask you what to do instead of saying what to do. So it'll ask you. You can always set this to skip over them. Okay. So the next one is file naming. Okay. A lot of times I might come through and you want a file name that's different than the original is what I'm trying to say. God, I can't think, man. Honest, this is ginger ale. So you can do the file name, or you can do a custom name, or you can do a custom name in a sequence. So what I usually do is a file name in a sequence. And because it's HDR-2, it's got -1, it's got all this stuff, but you can go into Finder or Windows Explorer and change your file names if you want. This is kind of cumbersome, and it never really makes them the way I want them to do. So I haven't figured out how to make that module do what I want it to do. So video, we'll leave that closed. File settings. All right. This is where you want to set the size. If you want to export as a JPEG or a TIFF or a PNG, a DNG, or whatever, you can click that down. We're saving it as a JPEG. The quality is going to be at 100. Now, if you want to limit the file size, you can do it there. Usually what I do, instead of limit the file size, I'll come down here and do the width and the height. I'll show that to you in a minute. You always want to export at sRGB, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be probably just doing this and then showing them online on Facebook or something. Okay. So you want sRGB if you're going to be showing them on in a browser, in a browser. Okay. Let's see, content create. I don't know what that is. That's something that they just popped in there, so that's new to me. So what I'll do is I'll come down here. Let's just say we're saving this for Facebook. Okay. The Facebook sizes that I use, you might want to write this down because it's the most perfect Facebook size or sizes in the world. I've tried all kinds of sizes and I've researched, and the one that works the best for me, and I've had a lot of people say, uh, how do you get your photos online so sharp or something? I mean, Facebook's always going to crush it a little bit, but you don't want Facebook's algorithm to change the size of your image. And so what you want to do is you want to make it the same size that Facebook likes, and then it won't change the size. And that's usually what happens. It changes the size, and it loses something. It gets terrible. So, all right. It looks like it gets stomped on with a frozen boot or something. So I go 2048 to 1365. And the resolution doesn't really count that much in my world. But if you wanted to change it here, you can do like 150. Okay. Because ultimately, you still got the same amount of pixels, no matter what pixels per inch they are. Still got the same amount up here. Okay. So if you wanted to do some sharpening, there's glossy paper, matte paper, and screen. I just leave it on screen. Um, you can do high, low, or standard. Okay, now down here, let's close this, and let's look at this metadata one down here. Down here is where you can change the metadata in your photo, and you can do leave all the metadata in there. And you guys know what the metadata is, right? It's all of the information your camera stores when the picture is taken, including the shutter speed, copyright owner, the photo, all that kind of stuff is in your metadata. Okay. So if you want to do copyright only, you do that. If you want to do all metadata, which I do, I don't know, you can strip the metadata out completely, practically, and just leave so there's those options there. Let me see here. All metadata, you can remove things here. So if you hit all metadata, you can remove your personal information and the location info if your camera is storing the location. So yeah. Okay, now if you wanted to do a watermark, which I don't do anymore, I used to do it all the time, I just don't really do it. You can click on here. Let me show it to you. I mean, why not? We got nothing else better to do except listen to me stumble and mumble. Hit watermark there. Come up here and hit edit watermarks. All right, you can come on in here. Facebook. Yeah, it strips all digital. Metadata actually takes up space, and so they probably pull that out of there to be able to take up space on their servers. All right, so let's look down here, and you can make your name. All right, and then over here, or if you have a watermark that you've got saved or something like that, you can pull it up. Make sure that it's a PNG so that it's transparent. Okay, so save it as your watermark as a PNG. Choose to go find it and then do it. If you want to just mark your photos with your name on it, you can do that. You can come up here and change the font if you wanted to, which is kind of fun. You can go down here and you can center it or pull it over to the right side, and that's inside of its font, its little box there. Okay. All right. So then you can come down here, and I just center it there. It doesn't really matter. Come down here and you can vary the opacity. Get my mouse over here. So if you want it to be, all right. Now it's making me a liar. What am I doing wrong here? Shadow. Oh, this is the shadow. Duh, what an idiot. So if you wanted to have a shadow coming down, that's where you adjust all that stuff. You can tell how often I use this, right? So now here, this is where you vary the opacity of your watermark. What a big dummy. All right, you can mess with it there. You can change the size. You can make it move over to the right side if you want to. You can put it there in the middle. You could put it at the top, the left side, right side, anywhere you want. So you can, let me see if you can move it towards the inside and then move it up so it's not at the edge of the photograph. All right, and then you come down here and you hit save, and then save this as the Gary Rendell preset and hit create. All right, so now the menu says Gary Rendell preset, so you can click this on there and it'll apply that on there if you want it, but I don't want to. So any kind of post processing that you I should say, after you get done post processing, you can have it either open up the file to have the file open up in an Explorer folder or a Finder folder, or you can have it open it up in, say, Photoshop or something like that down here. And so then after you do that, hit export. and off it goes. Okay. And I had it open up in a separate, what am I trying to say? A separate window. Go. Extra large icon. Let me double click on that. And there's the picture we took or made. So what do you think? All right. Anybody about that? About anything? Now I told, was it, oh, okay. Yeah. So it was Rachel was asking about saving the masks up here. Okay. All right. God, I lost my brain there for a few minutes. Hopefully I've found it again. So let me show you here. We've got masks on here. When you hover over this, it's going to show you where the masks are, right? So after you have all these masks in your photo, all right, all you have to do is click on the edit sliders. When you do, okay, so did that answer your question? Felony Flats, that's in Hood River, I think, isn't it? No. There's a place called Felony Flats in Hood River, or maybe something is reminding me of something there, your name. So, all right, I hope that answered your question, Rachel. So, does anybody else have any more questions? I don't want to keep you here just looking at me act silly, but if you have any questions at all, let me know. Also, if you have any ideas for a video in the future, leave it in the comments, because after with this live video, it's going to save it and it's going to be in my YouTube timeline there or whatever. So you can click on it, like it, share it if you want to. But down on the bottom, you can leave a comment. Have a comment at all about what I should be doing. If I should be doing this any different, because I'm still learning. I'm learning what to do, but I think I got 3 of them under my belt now. So I think that's what I've got. Pretty sure that's what I got. So, all right, everyone. More comfortable with the camera in front of me and just be more comfortable here. And so, I appreciate and support me this way. And, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So I know it sounds corny, but if you weren't here, I wouldn't be here. So, yeah. So I appreciate it. I'm going to assume that you guys have no more questions, so I'm going to go about my business. If you do come up with any kind of question anywhere down the line, let me know. I hope I answered your question. Yes, the radials are awesome, aren't they? I do too. 5 or 6 easily sometimes. I learned dodging and burning in the darkroom back in the 1970s. And these old guys that had lights and they would cut out patterns, and they would cut out masks to profile out the skin. And they do all this stuff in the enlarger, and it was really pretty cool. And so for me to be able to have that kind of background and to be able to do this so easily in Lightroom, it was a game changer. So Alan, I really appreciate you coming here, man. I really appreciate you coming here, man. You have supported me more than practically anybody I know, man, and I appreciate it. You and I are brothers in arms and brothers in photography. So I love you, man. You're the best. I hope retirement is treating you well. Someday I hope to retire. Felony Flats, Southeast Portland. Awesome. I need to work on my Portland history a little bit more, but I've been watching a fella on YouTube. His name is Steve the Historian, and he does Portland history videos and stuff. And if you like history, I have a website that's called mounthoodhistory.com, and all you got to do is just Google it, and I've got a bunch of history stuff that I've written and a lot of cool old photographs and things. So yeah, go check out mounthoodhistory.com, and I hope you enjoy it. So, all right, Rachel, right on. That will work for me, because you can go back and watch it again, and I explain to you how it works. But seriously, come back and message me and let me know if you have any questions at all. So 10 Bush Solutions. I'm going to check out your videos. I want to learn more about you, because I'm a wannabe drone fly. You know, I hate my drone. I bought a drone way back when they first came out with the damn Phantom that didn't even have a gimbal or anything on it. And I, in the past, have been so afraid to fly it because I crash them, you know, and lose them. They all of a sudden, my signal's gone or something like that. So I've got this paranoia about flying my drone, but I got the Mini Pro 3 or something like that, and it's got sensors all over it, so I should be safe with it. So anyway, thanks for showing up. I hope you can use any of these tips at all. Just, yeah, I really appreciate you showing up here. So yeah, watch this tomorrow, because I explain how to save these masks to your photographs. So that's what friends do, Ellen. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Shauna. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate everyone showing up. And Randy, you showed up again too. You blended in with me here. Randy, you're another person that's been there since the beginning. You know, I think you took one of my first workshops ever, you know, and your support has meant the world to me. So yeah. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to cut this off. Just contact me, communicate with me, and I'll let you know if I have any kind of question, any answer for your questions. So, all right, everyone, I appreciate it. I'm going to sign this off. Take care. Tune in next Sunday and check out my other old YouTube videos. Why not, you know? But watch me or check out my stuff on Facebook and on Instagram, and then go to my website. It's called gary-randall.com. And I apologize for the mess of a website that I have at the moment. So maybe you can give me some pointers if you guys go there. So I go, you know, you ought to do this. So thank you, Robin. I appreciate you showing up. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm going to cut this off, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.